Okay, so we are now producing Game of the Week videos for Catch Sports, an app that was soft launched by Turner Sports this past spring. That's kind of a tune-in app that lets sports fans know if you like the Detroit Lions, the next time they play, where to watch them on TV, where to get them on a Roku or Apple or other online devices, where to watch them online, radio stations, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of a tune-in app. And now we are producing between 45 seconds and 1 minute Game of the Week previews to kind of help this soft launch. It's an easy project. We've done it now for a couple weeks. It involves two After Effects projects and one Premiere project. And let's get started. All right, the first thing we need to do is go into our templates. And we need to basically update the matchup. So let's say that we want to, in week 4, have the Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. And as a Detroit Lions fan, I know how this is going to turn out. So let's go into the Catch Sports matchup comp template. Here we go, week 3. Let's go into week 4. So we have here, and like every other After Effects project, the ability to go in and make easy tweaks. Now, we have been doing week 3 or 1, 2, and 3 spelled out. I think that we should keep it numeric from now on. So week 4 looks better than anything else. As far as fonts, we're trying to use fonts now that are on everybody's laptop or computer. So week 4, easy change, and it's going to be hypothetically the Lions versus the Packers. This would never be a game of the week option, but let's just, for shits and giggles, make it happen. Okay, so we go into Carolina, the text, and now it's Detroit. Panthers, and now the Lions. The win-loss record, let's be honest, by week 3 they will be 0-3, but let's keep the nomenclature the way it should be. Okay, and then we are playing, the Lions are playing the Packers. So, Packers. Denver is now Green Bay. Worst case scenario, they are 2-1. All right, we're getting closer. That's how to update the text elements. Now we need to update the graphic and logo elements. And the best way to do this is basically go to Google and search for transparent PNGs. So we go to Google. All right. That's our Lions. View image. Save as. I'm going to say this is 2. Let's go into Green Bay Packers logo. That's a great one. Visit view image. Save as. 2. Go back to our After Effects comp. And the best way to update these graphics is to go into the logos that are already there, the Panthers. We control click, replace footage with Detroit Lions. There we go. Rather small. And then we go into Detroit or Denver Broncos. Place footage, Green Bay Packers. Rather small and backwards. Let's manipulate these. Let's get these up to size. We find these layers in our project. We transform them. First thing we want to do is X orientation. A 180 should do the trick. And it's upside down. Not good. Let's go back to 0. Let's go to Y. There we go. Scale it up. Let's move it over. Great. Collapse. Detroit Lions. Let's transform them. Scaling. Position. Maybe up a little bit. Okay, that looks good. Both logos are prominent. They're not too dominating. They're quite similar depending on, if it's a circular logo or an animal. Use your best judgment on this. Just, we cannot, provide a bias here. Just, use your eye, basically. Now, the background for the Lions, the blue, looks great. It was already there, but the Packers orange looks terrible. We need to manipulate this. And how we do that is in the shape layers. Shape layer 2, under contents, banner, fill. This color has a droplet. Let's change it to green. Wait, it didn't work. So if we expand the color and the expression color is turned on, let's turn it off. Boom. Packers green. Okay, so now we're looking pretty good. Packers, Lions, week 4, everything. The last thing we do is this little area right here, the @ symbol. For burgeoning color designers, we want to keep this all looking sexy. Under text, let's go into this orange and the droplet and either change it to yellow. This time let's do it green. See how that looks. All right, that's great. So week 4, Lions and Packers, updated win-loss records, logos are present, their backgrounds have been updated to kind of match their color scheme, and we are good to go. We now take this and want to render it out. And for us, we want best settings, lossless, but not only lossless, we want to make sure that the transparencies to bring the animation on and also wipe it off have a transparency and an alpha channel. So we include it. RGB plus alpha. Millions of colors plus. Animation, as far as the codec goes, is great. Sometimes people are kind of concerned because it takes too long. But if we hit OK and render, this is on a laptop, and look how fast it's going. Week 4, Lions and Packers, alpha on, alpha off, and boom. All right, we just updated and animated our matchup logo. Let's go into the Premiere project and look how our whole sequence times out. If we go into our templates again and go into our Premiere project, it's a very small file. We have here in our media the Catch Sports Game of the Week sequence. And if we look at over it, we have the opening animation. We have the matchup with alpha that we just created that we can time out and reveal. Then we have the meat of the section. Basically, we do not have video footage rights to the NFL. They're very expensive, but we do have an account for USA Today. And it looks like for each timeline, the first 3 weeks that I produced this project, we need between, I'd say, 8 and maybe 14 images, depending on the content of the script and Casey's read. For the last one, for week 3, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the animation. So the opening animation and the end animation are always the same. The matchup you will create, and we just watched how to create it. How to now edit and update the meat of the script and timeline. Basically, the best thing to do is to listen to his track, listen to his script, and listen to the key players that he highlights. In this case, for week 3, he talks about Le'Veon Bell.
Le'Veon Bell, Pittsburgh has showed why they're a Super Bowl contender. DeAngelo Williams has continued to shine and pace the league in rushing. Keep an eye, though, on Antonio Brown, who could have a big bounce-back week against a Philly defense that allowed over 30 yards per reception to Corey Coleman in Week 1. On the other side, the newest Rocky Balboa in the city of brotherly love, rookie Carson Wentz, comes in confident off 2 wins to begin his career. He should have some success against the Steelers' porous pass D, but only if his wideouts can hold on to the ball. Matthews, Aguilar and company had big drops last week for a group that led the NFL with 37 Butterfinger specials last season. For Catch Sports, I'm Casey Stern.
Okay, so that's what I came up with this week. Those images kind of match his script. Once again, when things are very specific about players or specific plays, you want to search for those and grab those. If not, as you know, fake and post for some of these things later on as far as Butterfingers. This might have been a catch, but he's talking about Butterfingers. Maybe it's not a catch. Maybe it's not a catch. And it's the team walking it off. Just use your best editorial judgment. All right, so you want to place, Casey's track in audio 1. Then audio 2 will be a music track that we've collected into this project. It will be the same song each and every time. You can start out from the first frame of the audio track. All we need to do basically is then be able to time and this will sting out, time it to Casey's read.
For Catch Sports, I'm Casey Stern.
It's pretty easy to do, and we're also sending this to audio, so they'll be able to finesse it. If you can't get close, send it as best as you can with your OMF, and audio will be able to take it from there. Now, once again, we have the opening animation that always stays the same, the matchup that we just learned how to produce and push out. Now, how do we take these still images with text and make it sexy? Well, that's the next part of this, and it's very, very easy. We found an After Effects template online, we manipulated it, and now it's basically kind of a drop, still picture template, and then we will speed time and speed ramp things in post. Let's go there. All right. So the biggest thing here now, I will condense these sequences. Scene options. In scene options, you see here we have the slide 1, slide 2, slide 3, 4, and so on. For each slide, we're able to drop a picture and also include text. So for each one of these pieces, we want to include between 2 and 4 stats overlays, text overlays, and it's really easy to do in this template. So for this example, on week 3, our first slide, if we go into modify images and logo, image 1, there he is, Le'Veon Bell. If you see here, as far as the drop zone, he's pretty much centered inside the box. And if you center him inside the box for the scene options, if you click here, it works. He's kind of centered. We can put text on him. Other times, when it comes to, let's say, maybe this one, slide 4. If we go to slide 4, if I click on it, you see that it's not occupying the whole box. That is kind of, kind of compressed, kind of shrunken a little bit, and we have bars to the left and the right. But that's only because when we drop it in here, the way the template works it centers it the way that we want to. Another option of this is, I think, maybe whence. Maybe this one, slide 5. Slide 5 here. Now we shrunk this big time, and we're allowing a lot of black area here. But the way the template works, to frame him and center him up, we needed to shrink him and put him on the right. So in the scene options, our main comp, he's centered. And the big thing is we don't want black area the transitions. So that's how we basically drop, these still images. For each one of these, like image 5 over here, we go into, we want to do this over and over again, images. When you go to USA Today and find your images, your 8 to 12 to 14 images, you bring them in here. For Carson Wentz, there he is. We would drag him into the Dropbox. Now there's 2, we'll reduce 1. We transform them. We shrink them. And put him in place. Where now he's in frame. That's how we do it. So we do rinse and repeat from slide 1 all the way to slide 10, 12, 13, 14. This goes all the way to maybe 20. So that's how to get images into the After Effects template. Now, for the extra level, we also want to include stats from time to time. So for week 3, on slide 1, you see Le'Veon Bell. He's returning from suspension. Week 4. How do we do that? So for each one, from slide 1 all the way through slide 14, we have the options to turning this kind of stuff on. We want to go into Modify Text, slide 1, and for each text we'll have a main title and a subtitle. So if we click main title, there he is, Le'Veon Bell. Subtitle, returns from suspension, week 4. We can turn these on and off. So if we turn these off and back to our option, there they go, they disappear. If we go back and turn them on, now they reappear. Now there's going to be a little bit of finesse that happens with this. The main title will always be the larger fonts, subtitle will be the smaller fonts, and each time we just use main title, Le'Veon Bell, you see there's 2 now layers here. There's the top layer that's white and the bottom layer that's black. It's basically a fake drop shadow, and it's a drop shadow that to duplicate this, I'll delete this. We go into the main title, Command D, go into the color, select black, and then just push it out to the right, push it down a little bit, using arrows. And if we go back to scene options, there it is, a little bit of a drop shadow. This is the best way right now, but if you find a better way to automate this, have at it. Anytime you can speed up this process, go for it. You will see that all the text is impact, which is loaded to each player. So you can do this at home without adding any of their fonts. The only other thing is once in a while we have to position this text better inside each frame. And the way to do that project construction, we go into main. So since that was the first slide, if we go here to slide sequence 1, we unlock it and double click it, now we see that there's subtitle and main title options that we can manipulate. So if we go to the screen, shrink it down so we can see it. For some reason, if we needed to move the text a little bit or it wasn't coming clear, now we can go into the subtitle and scale it. Unlock, transform, and then move. Left to right, up and down. All right, so that's how to manipulate and add text. For each text, you want to keep the text white, duplicate the layer, or find some way to automate a drop shadow. So now we know how to, in our comp, under Scene Options, our main comp, the one that we always want to kick out and render out, slide 1, slide 2, all this kind of stuff. Like for slide 8, we would go into Modify Images, and there it is. And now I've shrunk it a little bit, and I've moved it to the right and down just a little bit because that's the best way for that picture, that photograph using this comp to pop under Scene Options. There we go. All right, so once you have inserted in sequence the images that you want, you've scaled them correctly, you've added the textual elements for stats and people, you created drop shadows. Now the time is to render it out. To render it out, composition, add a render queue, best settings, and lossless is fine. But if you want to speed up the process a little bit, under format options, we do not need animation. That's too much. We don't need alpha channels, that kind of stuff. So we can actually take this to Apple ProRes LT, hit OK, and render it out. All right, so if we go into our Catch Sports templates and find our Premiere project, Catch Sports Game of the Week. All right, so you see here in our project capture, we have our sequence, our graphics, our music that never changes from week to week, and our voiceover. So for our voiceover, we have Casey's track here. We have our timeline here. All these projects will be between 45 seconds and a minute long. They always start the same way. Open animation to our matchup animation that swipes on because we've kicked it out in an animation alpha manner. It's out, and now all of the stuff that we just updated in After Effects, we can drop into our timeline and then time it out. So right now, how the sequence is, it's chopped up. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 segments. Let's delete those. Go into our graphics where we kick out our After Effects animations. And you see that we have the exported version, untimed, from After Effects, and a bunch of other stuff because I was too lazy or stupid to trim the ins and outs. So this is definitely a time saver. If this export took 25 minutes, you see that I don't need anything between here and the endpoint, which is almost 35% of the sequence in the file. So if you were able to kick this out in After Effects, and in and out, you'll save yourself 10 minutes of work time. So we do have the in and the out, and we will place this on V2 at this certain point, because if you Listen to Casey's read.
The 2-0 Eagles. Even without starback Le'Veon Bell, Pittsburgh has showed why there are.
He starts speaking about the actual content right about here. So even though this animation takes a very, very long time, it doesn't move too much from here to the end wipe. So basically, when you drag it into your timeline, you take as much as you want.
The 2-0 Eagles. Even without.
And at the very end, use the blade tool and just use the the last 2 seconds or second of the animation to wipe off.
Even without starback Le'Veon.
And that way it gives you kind of a clean wipe to the content. Now we want to now time his read with the animations and the image moves that we just did in After Effects.
Even without starback Le'Veon Bell, Pittsburgh has showed why they're a Super Bowl contender. The Angelo.
So that, without even tweaking anything, was very good timing.
Williams has continued to shine and pace the league in rushing. Keep an eye, though, on Antonio Brown.
Now that took too long. So the way to time stuff out that I've learned is we will learn where this animation kind of reaches its endpoint.
Could have a big bounce.
Right about here. We'll use the blade tool. We'll use the first part of its animation. And then using Control-Click under speed. Let's kick this to 125.
Rushing. Keep it.
Still too slow. Let's go to Control-Click. Speed. 140.
Tender. D'Angelo Williams has continued to shine and pace the league in rushing. Keep an eye, though, on Antonio.
And then we move everything down. And if you time it and cut the blade tool right, no effects or transitions are needed.
And pace the league in rushing. Keep an eye, though, on Antonio Brown, who could have a big bounce-back week against a Philly defense that allowed over 30 yards per reception to Corey Coleman.
Once again, too slow. We find just before the move happens, right about here. Use the blade tool.
Against a Philly defense that allowed over 30 yards back week against a Philly defense that allowed.
Right about there. And we want to send endpoint just to help us with our speed. Ramps. 130 perhaps. That's really close.
Allowed over 30 yards per reception to Corey Coleman in week 1. On the other side, the newest Rocky Balboa in the city of.
All right. So right before the transition happens, this is too slow.
Corey Coleman in week 1. On the other.
That's where we want to bring in the next animation. So we'll speed up what we have in our timeline right now. Maybe 130. Really close again.
To Corey Coleman in week 1. On the other side, the newest Rocky Balboa in the city of brotherly love, rookie Carson Wentz, comes in confident off 2 wins to begin his career. He should have some success against the Steelers' porous pass D, but only if his wideouts can hold on to the ball.
All right, so now this is the part of the timeline where everything is happening way too slow. So we're going to cut this and speed this up. 140. This might not even be fast enough.
1. On the other side, the newest Rocky Balboa in the city of brotherly love, rookie Carson Wentz, comes in confident off 2 wins to begin his career. He should have some success against the Steelers' porous pass D, but only if his wideouts can hold on to the ball. Matthews Aguilar.
All right, so now we see the last part of our sequence. We have a bunch of overlap. We're going to speed this up too. Let's go into speed duration. 135. Nope, still too long. Control-Click. Speed duration. 140. Let's go to speed duration. 145. Let's see how this times out.
Career. He should have some success against the Steelers' porous pass D, but only if his wideouts can hold on to the ball. Matthews Aguilar and company had big drops last week for a group that led the NFL with 37 Butterfinger specials last season. For Catch Sports, I'm Casey Stern.
All right, so the last part, this is timing out pretty well. We want to have the Catch Sports animation come in just a little bit sooner, so we either can do this 2 ways. Speed duration, 7145, 150.
37 Butterfinger specials last season. For Catch Sports, I'm Casey Stern.
All right, so that's great. Our last animation wipes in, the full green, shrinks down. This always stays the same. All right, now we see our timeline. Audio 1 is Casey's read, starts from the top, ends out, sigs out. We have our animation. And the last thing we need to do is make sure that our audio track, audio 2, stings out. You see there's a little bit of a cut tool or blade tool where it goes from the song
Specials
itself.
last season. For Catch Sports, I'm Casey Stern.
And kind of stings out as well. Because this is if you double click this, it's 2.5 minute, 3 minute track. Of course, once you send this out to audio, they can trim and kind of make this sting out sexy. So there it is. You have our open animation, our matchup animation. We've now timed all of our images with stats to meet the VO. We've let the end animation
Catch Sports, I'm Casey.
come on via a cut tool, no transitions necessary, and we will take this sequence that we've created, mark it in, mark it out. We'll export the media. And we want to export this now 2 ways. One will be a client version MP4 that is hopefully under 30 megabytes. We will also kick out a very high-res MP4 that is between 100 and 300 megabytes. Now, depending on your computer, there's going to be tons of different presets, tons of different ways to go about this. The big thing here is to make sure that's MP4 because that's also iPhone and Android and computer and just generic friendly these days, while also having some compression on it. So pick your poison. As far as for me, I like to do for a client like a Vimeo like 720 HD. Right now it says estimated file size 49 megabytes. So maybe I come back and do like an Android 1080-97. Okay, now I'm 27 megabytes. I would kick that out for client version, and then for the full res version that they can use for the app itself, I would go back into here. I would do a Vimeo 1080. I would go into my video settings. I would look at all right, VBR 1 pass. That's kind of weak for a full setting. Let's go 2 pass. Target bit rate. Let's kick this up to 24. Maximum bitrate 24. Now we're at estimated file size 146. That's a pretty solid, sexy MP4 that if it's uploaded to the Catch Sports server and platform, it doesn't matter if you're watching it on your desktop or your iPad or your Android phone or whatnot, it's going to be a great piece. So I would export those 2 different versions. All right, that's it. So that's how basically to use and manipulate this Catch Sports video, knowing that you need to first update the matchup, second go in and based on Casey's track, find the best videos that are editorially correct for his piece. Kind of sequence them raw into a Premiere timeline or just in your head or whatnot. Maybe go to the web and get some 2 to 4 stats about these certain players that Casey has highlighted, their past week performance, their stats on the year, or if they've been suspended when they're coming back to play, like we did in week 3. All right, so when the timeline here has been trimmed, all the images have been timed out, it's time to kick this all out to audio, because audio will be able to finesse sound effects between animations and swooshes between images to images. You want to kick out a client-sized MOV and also an OMF. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. Herc, if you're doing this, you know the jazz, so I trust you. Once that comes back to you, you want to take your new waveform, place it down on the timeline, and you want to kick out two different versions. One that's kind of client-sized and under 30 megabytes per second, and one that's full-size that we can now use for uploading to our Catch Sports app and making sure that it plays great HD quality on desktops and Android phones and iPhones and all kind of jazz. And here's how to do that. I would take this, export media. For kind of a client-size version, I would dumb this down to maybe an Android tablet, like a 1080 by 800, or maybe even just like let's go down like a 720 by 297. Estimated file size, 12 megabytes. It's still gonna look good. It's a great client size. And then to kick it out like full res, I would go into and start with Vimeo 1080. But I would tweak this. Instead of one pass, two passes. Instead of target bitrate 16, let's go 24. And now we have 127 megabyte file size. I would kick that out. So that's the way to kick it out to audio. That's the way to kick it out to client size. That's the way to deliver a file, an HD, awesome quality that can be used by the app. And if you have any questions, let me know.